We're back with Rick O'Barry, Academy Award winner for Best Feature Documentary, The Cove. Rick, dolphins have always fascinated us, not just from Flipper, but certainly that highlighted it. But what makes a dolphin unique compared to all the other fish and wildlife that might be in the ocean?
Well, one thing is they're self-aware, like humans and great apes and probably many, many other animals. But those also, dolphins have saved the lives of humans. We were talking about that in the green room a little earlier. Elian Gonzalez, the Cuban boy who was saved by dolphins. Well, there's many stories of dolphins saving the lives of humans. We never heard of another wild animal coming out of the jungle to save the life of a human. This is altruism. If somebody in this audience saved the life of somebody else in this audience, that is communication. So that's what's special about them.
Do they have the ability to even anticipate what's going on around them in a way that is unique to them?
Yeah, that's what self-aware is. We look in the mirror and we know what we're looking at, and we can anticipate what's happening. Yeah. I
wanted you to take me now to the Cove, this very unique place where this documentary is set.
Yeah.
And how did you discover it? And what goes on there?
Well, I didn't discover it. There have been people working on this issue for some time, but I went there, I don't know, 10 years ago or so, and saw what happened, and I had no idea what to do to stop it. And so I asked my Japanese colleagues, and they said, Gaiatsu. Gaiatsu translates into external pressure. In other words, bring the media here. And that's what I started doing. CNN, the BBC, whoever would come there, including the filmmakers. By the way, I'm not one of the filmmakers. That's a separate organization. Jim Clark, who started Netscape, founded it, and Louis Sahoyas and others. So the film is Gaiatsu on a massive scale, especially now that it won the Academy Award, because the Japanese government is trying to keep it out of the theaters and keep it from being seen, which is going to be very difficult now that it's got the Oscar.
And the community in which this happens is sort of, I think the stunning thing about the documentary, it depicts this community in Japan as all about dolphins.
Yeah.
Almost as if they celebrate, they worship, they just are built around dolphins,
yeah.
But it wasn't quite what you found.
Well, I've got to say, I love Japan, and I love the Japanese people, and most people in Japan do not bother dolphins, and that's one of the reasons we don't. I work for Earth Island Institute, by the way. We don't support boycott Japan, save the whale, save the dolphins, because it's a blanket indictment against all Japanese people, and they're not guilty. There are 13 boats in Taiji who are killing dolphins, 2 men in each boat. So we're talking about 26 guys, basically. There's 3,400 people in Taiji who don't kill dolphins. And it's a wonderful place, and we're hoping to get 1,000 people to show up with us on September 1st when the killing season starts. It's about to end now, at the end of March. But it'll start up again September 1st. And if we can get enough people to come there, and you'll have a wonderful time if you do it. It's a great place. It's one of the most beautiful places in the world. That is a form of Gaiatsu also, external pressure. And that's the kind of thing that's going to stop it, is to keep it in the news, keep Taiji in newspapers and television and so forth.
I want to warn the audience, we're going to be showing you some disturbing but very compelling scenes of the Japanese fishermen driving hundreds of dolphins to their deaths. This is why this documentary received the Oscar. You'll find that out and more from Rick O'Barry. We are back with Rick O'Barry, Oscar-winning star of the movie The Cove, or documentary. And Rick, when we were talking before, these dolphins are herded into this cove for Taiji. Explain what happens.
When the sun comes up in the morning, 13 boats will go out, 2 men in each boat. Boats are about 38 feet long. And they wait for dolphins that are migrating. And they get on the outside of them, and they're evenly spaced, a couple hundred feet apart. And they put a long metal pole in the water that has sort of a flange or bell on the bottom, and they start banging. And this creates a wall of sound or an acoustical net, and literally terrorizes the dolphins. And they're able to drive them into the cove. and they seal it. And they call this the drive fisheries. So it's been going on for about 400 years, but not with these mechanized boats. That's only been going on for about 33 years. And so they're driven in the cove is sealed. If there's a capture taking place, you'll see about 30 dolphin trainers who select the best for themselves. And I think that's the economic underpinning of the slaughter. Because
there's a lot of money in this for the trainers. How much? Well,
they have paid, and we know that Ocean World Casino in the Dominican Republic paid $154,000 for each dolphin.
For each dolphin?
For each dolphin. And when we started speaking out against this, myself and Earth Island Institute, we were hit with a $700 million lawsuit, which we're still dealing with. But yeah, I think the captures are the economic underpinning, because the dolphin meat, the dead dolphin's worth about $400 or $500. So yeah, capturing them, and that's the hardest thing for me as a former dolphin trainer to understand. In some ways, the fishermen know not what they do, in that the character for whale, kujira, in Japanese is wrong and should be changed. It translates into, it reads monster fish, and they think they're dealing with a fish. The dolphin trainers that you see in the movie capturing the dolphins, they know better. They know they're self-aware. They look them in the eye every day. They give them names. And so for the life of me, I can't figure out what they're doing there.
So the trainers are obviously selecting the best of them, particularly the ones that look like Flipper, because that's the ones the public is going to want to see. But what happens to the rest of them now that they've herded them into the cove?
Well, we never knew the exact details of how they were killed, because the cove is out of sight. And so it took some doing to photograph that covertly, and that's one of the reasons the film crew won the Academy Award. They're speared. They're killed with knives, and it's the most brutal. It's so over the top that words fail me when you ask me that question, what happens? It is like Dante's Inferno for dolphins.
But they're sold for food. I mean, that's the ultimate end of these dolphins that are herded into the cove. And you were able to sneak cameras into there in a remarkable operation that frankly rivals any Navy SEAL thing that you can imagine logistically, to create and execute this plan. And we've got some scenes from it I want to go to, Rick. It's some scenes from the documentary. We're going to show you, this is shocking footage that Rick and his team shot with hidden cameras. We begin with the boats driving the dolphins toward the cove.
There are migratory routes that dolphins have been using for thousands of years, and they just wait till the dolphins come by. The boats then put these long poles in the water, which have a flange on the bottom. And they just bang on these poles with hammers, and they create a wall of sound, which frightens the dolphins.
Running from this wall of sound.
By the time they get to the lagoon, they are totally freaked out, stressed out to the max. They seal it, then they go home. The next morning, all of these dolphin trainers will be lined up, selecting the ones that they want for the dolphinariums.
Incredible documentary received the Oscar because it's footage, Rick, that was shot in ways no one ever has seen this before except the participants. What's been the reaction that you've had? The most popular television show in Japan is the Academy Award. So that is huge, the fact that it won the Academy Award. There's 126 million people in Japan who have not seen this film. And we need to get this in front of them, because ultimately it's the consumers who will solve this problem. The Japanese people are more concerned about healthy food than we are. If they had any idea that the dolphin meat was laced with mercury, they wouldn't buy it. Supply and demand. So we're not really telling the Japanese people what to do. It's more about giving them the information in hopes that they will stop buying the product. Same is true with the dolphinariums. There's 50 dolphinariums in Japan, 50. When people see this film, they're going to think twice before they buy a ticket for that dolphin show, I believe. I hope people will see the film, and people can get the DVD.